Before, there was only form, and the world will literally never be the same again. Now that you're here on the verge of crossing this threshold, tell me in the comments, from which city in the world are you awakening your inner vision? I want to know how far this great knowledge is reaching. Stay until the end because this technique isn't transmitted through information. It awakens through consciousness, and that awakening begins now. You weren't born blind. That's the first truth you need to remember. When you came into this world, your soul still retained the ability to see beyond form. You saw energy, colors not registered by the visible spectrum, faces others couldn't see, and you perceived with clarity what adults called fantasy. That was your inner vision in its pure state, before it was buried under layers of conditioning. But something happened as you grew up. Programming began. Don't say that, it's not real. It was just your imagination. Phrases repeated by parents, teachers, institutions, and systems unknowingly dimmed your ability to see beyond. Thus began induced blindness, not a natural loss, but a silent psychic amputation. You were trained to distrust your inner perception, to rely only on the tangible, on what others could validate. With each denial, your vision retreated further into the shadows of the unconscious. The ancient Gnostics knew this veil wasn't accidental. They called it the work of the archons, energetic entities that feed on human disconnection. According to their teachings, the archons don't seek to destroy us, but to keep us asleep, trapped in a limited reality they shape through fear, distraction, and fragmented consciousness. Their most effective weapon, making us forget who we are, convincing us that the visible is the only reality. Yet even in that forgetting, your inner vision never disappeared. It was silenced, encapsulated in a deeper region of your consciousness. Modern science is beginning to glimpse what the wise already knew. Studies on quantum perception, morphic fields, and neuroplasticity confirm that our mind consciously processes only a tiny fraction of the information it receives. The rest lies latent, hidden in a vast sea of sensory data, accessible only through an expanded state of attention. Here's where the ego comes in, not as an enemy, but as a guardian. The ego doesn't want you to see beyond because it was designed to protect the identity you built within the material world's limits. Seeing beyond threatens it, causes vertigo, because if you remember what lies behind the veil, the ego loses control. That's why when you start to awaken, the ego activates its defenses: doubt, cynicism, distraction, self-sabotage, all to pull you back into the world's dream. But if you've made it this far, it's because something in you is already seeing again. Have you noticed that growing discomfort with the superficial, the feeling that there's something more, even if you can't name it, those repetitive synchronicities, that urge to close your eyes and look inward, as if your soul knows the door isn't in the outer world, but in the sacred darkness of your consciousness? Remember this: your true vision wasn't lost, it was covered. And what's covered can be rediscovered. The first step is the will to see, not with physical eyes, but with what alchemists called the soul's eye, a perception that needs no external light to grasp the truth. This vision arises in the silence between thoughts, in the subtle spaces where the mind no longer imposes its narrative. Perhaps you've already had glimpses of this vision without realizing it. That moment when you intuited what would happen, that dream that spoke in vivid symbols, that accurate premonition, these weren't accidents. They were signals, memories, echoes. Your vision never left. It just needs to be activated, remembered, retrained. To do that, you must unlearn the blindness, stop seeking external proof, and trust your innermost perception. The world won't give you permission to see, only you can grant it. When you do, when you cross that threshold, you'll notice the universe has always been speaking to you. You'll finally see its messages. Seeing with the soul isn't a poetic metaphor. It's a real function of your consciousness, as tangible as breathing, as precise as your heartbeat. But you've been trained to ignore it. When the ancients spoke of the third eye or inner vision, they weren't referring to superstition, but to a subtle sensory capacity, a spiritual antenna connected to higher planes of information. This vision doesn't need pupils. It needs presence. What does it mean to see with the soul? It means perceiving without filters, capturing the essence of things, not just their form, sensing the intention behind words, seeing patterns where others see chaos, recognizing vibration where others see only matter. In this elevated state, everything speaks. A gesture, a silence, a synchronicity, an inexplicable feeling. The world ceases to be separate objects and becomes a field of living messages. Esoteric traditions, from Vedanta to Hermeticism, have upheld this truth. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna grants Arjuna divine vision to see the reality hidden behind the physical veil. In the Corpus Hermeticum, it's said that the visible is a shadow of the invisible, and the invisible is the source of all reality. This source, which you can begin to see when you access your inner vision, isn't imagined. It's felt with a certainty so profound it needs no proof. How do you access this vision? It's not about waiting for a magical experience or straining to see strange things. Seeing with the soul is an art requiring three essential ingredients: deep attention, emotional coherence, and an expanded state of consciousness. Deep attention is the first threshold. In a world designed to fragment you, learning to hold your attention on one point, your breath, your heart, an inner symbol, is revolutionary. Where your attention goes, your energy flows, and where your energy flows, perception arises. Emotional coherence is the second ingredient. If you're full of inner noise, anxiety, or conflict, your perception distorts. That's why those who develop inner vision often cultivate peace, gratitude, love, or presence first. These emotions aren't just pleasant states. They're high frequencies that tune your soul to subtler planes of information. The HeartMath Institute has shown that in cardiac coherence, your heart's electromagnetic field aligns and your brain receives clearer signals. You see more, feel more, understand without thinking. The third ingredient is an expanded state of consciousness, not trance or sleep, but refined wakefulness, a presence so deep that thought's edges dissolve, and nonverbal perception emerges. What was invisible becomes evident, not as dramatic visions, but as spontaneous insights, symbolic images, clear sensations. Your consciousness becomes porous, open, silent, and in that silence, vision appears. This state can arise in simple moments, just before sleep, during a walk, gazing at a candle, meditating without expectations. The method isn't the key, it's the inner disposition, a gentle surrender, an observation without demand. Suddenly there it is, a symbol, an image, a certainty. Seeing with the soul isn't seeing more, it's seeing better. It's receiving without judging, trusting without needing proof. When this vision activates, you perceive the world differently and see yourself in a new light. You see the roots of your emotions, the masks you wore, the structure of your mind and its falsehood. It's like removing glasses for the first time and realizing you'd always seen blurry. The soul doesn't need eyes to see. The soul is vision. It just needs you to open the space for it to manifest. When you do, what was invisible becomes your most intimate reality. What you're about to learn isn't a simple visualization technique or a practice to entertain the mind. It's an inner ritual, a vibrational key that, if applied with respect, opens a portal in your consciousness through which heightened perception begins to filter. This is the activation of your inner vision, that forgotten sense that awakens only when you're ready to see what's always been there. But first, a warning. This technique isn't for the curious ego. It doesn't seek to generate extraordinary experiences as spiritual trophies. Its power lies in silence, subtlety, the invisible. Those chasing external miracles will overlook the true transformation happening within. You'll see beyond only if you're willing to dissolve what you thought you were. The technique has three phases, each designed to refine an aspect of your perceptual field: body, emotion, attention. Together, they form an inner antenna that resonates with subtler planes of reality. Phase 1. Rooting breath. Sit in silence, back straight, hands relaxed on your thighs. Close your eyes gently. Inhale through your nose for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, exhale through your mouth for 6 seconds. Do this 7 times. Each cycle is a cleansing, removing surface mental noise. As you breathe, feel your body lighten. Imagine each exhale releases not just air, but tensions, fears, unnecessary thoughts. Phase 2. Emotional coherence. Place your attention on the center of your chest. Evoke an elevated emotion, gratitude, compassion, peace. You don't need a specific memory, just feel it. The emotion is the frequency. Your heart is the transmitter. Stay there for a few minutes, breathing softly, holding that vibration. This phase tunes your energy field, creating an inner environment conducive to sacred vision. Direct your attention to the space between your eyebrows, known as the third eye in yogic tradition. Don't force anything. Just observe that point with eyes closed. Some feel a tingle, a pulse, or just emptiness. It doesn't matter. Keep your attention there. This is the portal. Imagine a soft light emanating from that center inward, not outward, as if illuminating an inner room long in shadow. Stay there for a few minutes in complete silence. Only breath, elevated emotion, and sustained attention. This is the technique's core. Its power isn't in what you see, but in what awakens within you. Any images, intuitions, or sensations that arise shouldn't be analyzed, just observed. Your job isn't to interpret, but to hold the space, because in that space, vision activates. Here's something few will tell you. When you start seeing beyond, you also start being seen, not by external entities, but by parts of yourself that were dormant. The unconscious lights up, dreams intensify, synchronicities increase. The world speaks in symbols. Then inner guardians arise, doubt, fear, spiritual ego. Don't fight them. Observe, acknowledge. Each time they appear, it's a sign you're crossing a threshold. Doubt becomes discernment. Fear becomes reverence. Ego becomes humility. What seemed an obstacle becomes a guide when you choose to stay awake. True inner vision doesn't come like lightning, but like a breeze, a wordless certainty, a new way of living. You'll see between lines, hear between words, feel realities that can't be named. Most astonishingly, you'll realize you don't need to close your eyes to see with the soul. Once activated, this vision never turns off. Maybe right now you haven't seen lights, images, or extraordinary symbols. Maybe all you feel is a new silence, a different calm, a hard-to-describe sensation. Don't worry, that's exactly what was supposed to happen. Inner vision isn't a spectacle, it's a presence, an opening, a new way of being in the world. And that subtle opening changes everything. From this moment, a part of you has awakened, a part that won't accept living only on the surface. You'll notice more, feel more, question what you took for granted, find beauty where you once saw routine. That's the true miracle. Without changing anything outside, something profound transforms within. Remember, activating your inner vision isn't reaching a destination. It's starting to walk from a new level of consciousness. It's as if you'd lived your whole life looking through a window and suddenly remembered you always had the key to open it. The air that enters can't be contained. It renews, expands, transforms you. But this awakening brings a new responsibility, to live aligned with what you see. Seeing beyond means acting with more truth, letting go of what no longer resonates, speaking less from ego and more from soul. Though it may hurt, that's freedom. You may not explain this to everyone. You don't need to. The world doesn't need more explanations. It needs people, ascendant people, who embody their truth, walk with soul eyes open amid the noise, and hold a frequency that transforms without imposing. That's your task now. Not to convince or prove, but to sustain your vision, your practice, your inner space as a living temple where truth can keep emerging, layer by layer. If you ever doubt or feel yourself slipping back to sleep, return to this silence, this breath, this loving attention you open today. The soul doesn't forget what it's remembered, it just needs to be called. Now you know how. With that said, thank you for watching, and until next time.